Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Ray and I teach both Calculus AB and BC here at OHS. I regret that I can't be here today to let you know more about these exciting classes. And if you have more questions about either of the courses after today, please feel free to come by and ask me, because I will be back next week. In this video, I will give you a few highlights of the courses, as well as talk a little bit about how they are graded, the amount of work that they involve, and what I expect from students who are going to take calculus. I'd like to begin by sharing a little bit more about our first year calculus program, Calculus AB. This will be your first course in calculus, and it's designed to expand upon the work you have already done in all of the classes you took before calculus. You'll often hear me refer to pre-calculus mathematics, and I'm not just talking about the course you're in right now, but rather all of the coursework you have done prior to starting calculus. This means that any of the courses prior to calculus that you have taken, you should have done very, very well in order to be in this class. Okay. Specifically, we're going to look and leverage a lot of the work you have done in Algebra 2, as well as the trigonometry that you are going to do this year in pre-calculus. Calculus is the mathematics of things that are changing. And in all of your pre-calculus work, whatever quantities we were analyzing were usually fixed in time. They may have been two different fixed points in time, and there was some motion or change in between, but the mathematics you did usually meant that those points were frozen in time. Calculus is not like that at all. So as you begin your journey in the world of calculus, you will begin to understand how quantity changing affects the mathematics that we have learned. If you examine the calculus books in the back of the room, you're going to notice they're pretty big. And that's because there's a lot of ramifications for the new work that we do in calculus. I like to say that the first year of calculus has about 35 pages of new material and about 500 pages of applications. For those of you that are in the room right now who are in Calc AB right now, you already know what I'm talking about. In Calc AB, we begin with the study of limits, and then we transition into something called derivatives. We look at lots of applications of those two ideas, and that's pretty much it for first semester. Second semester begins with the concept of integration, and we examine strategies for integration as well as applications of the integration process throughout the second semester. The ultimate goal of the course is to prepare you to take the AB exam in May. However, this class is also available to be taken for college credit through Central Washington University and their College in the High School program. These credits are free to you and represent a great way to get a 10-credit head start on your undergraduate degree while you're still here at Olympia High School. Sign-ups for that part of the class happen through Central Washington University's website, and we do take some time early on both semesters to make sure everybody gets signed up and registered if they want to get those credits. Now, I know some students will be worried about their college GPA, okay, and how these credits and grades might impact that. I need to tell you that your college will never find out about those grades unless you tell them. Okay? Unless, of course, you end up going to Central. They already know. But most colleges don't talk to one another. They're separate entities, and they don't really like to share information. So unless you tell them, they're not going to find out. As for the flow of Calc AB, every day that we have lessons, there are typically homework assignments. Okay? There may be some topics that require more than one day of exposition during class, but for the most part, you can count on some kind of assignment, whether it be out of the textbook or a worksheet or maybe even an online assignment, pretty much daily. 85% of your grade in the class comes from the assessments, and the remaining 15% of the grade, it comes from those daily assignments. Assessments take the form of quizzes and tests for the most part. I often get asked about calculators for calculus class, and I can tell you there are many to choose from. I am partial to the Texas Instrument brand calculators because I think that they are very easy to use. However, I have a lot of experience with other makes and models, such as the Casios and the Hewlett-Packards that are out there. So if you don't have a Texas Instrument, that's okay. We will be able to make that work. But Mr. Ray, do I need a graphing calculator for calculus? Well, it's actually a really good idea to get a graphing calculator for this course. Specifically, I recommend one that has a computer algebra system in it. Oftentimes, these are designated by the letters CAS on the calculator. If you would like to see an example of one, I have a Texas Instrument model, Inspire CAS, right here. And as you can see, the letters CAS are on the top. Okay. This is a fantastic calculator, and will do everything you need to do for this class. And if you go on to Calc BC, it'll work there. And if you continue on in mathematics, it will work for pretty much every math class you're going to take in your undergraduate study in mathematics. Coincidentally, if you happen to be considering taking AP Statistics, this calculator works great for that class as well. I know we didn't get much time to talk about Calc AB together because I couldn't be here today. So again, if you have questions about the course, please come back and see me at some point next week. I'm happy to answer whatever questions might have come up for you either during the presentation or after. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about our second year program, Calc BC. Calc BC is an exciting opportunity where you get to expand upon the knowledge you gained in AB, as well as in second semester, we move to what's called multivariable calculus, which is an essential part of the calculus sequence at most colleges and universities around the country. Typically, those colleges and universities will not give you credit for our multivariable based on this course, but it is nice to get a preview of the kind of work you will be expected to do at the college level Calc 3 student. I know from experience through my own children that this helps a great deal when you transition to the new and exciting world of college campus life. For a little bit more about BC, let me just tell you that initially the course works its way through most of the same topics that you did in AB, albeit we had to go at a much faster pace. We do a few of the topics more in depth, and we'll take a look at a few more applications of some of the work, more so than you did as a first-year calculus student. For example, your work in integration techniques probably will focus mostly on integration techniques such as U substitution and some of the other basic techniques. Hopefully, as we go through them again in Calc BC, you'll find that you've gotten much better than the first time around. And we will expand upon them with some of the higher level techniques, which you may have seen towards the end of the year, but you definitely need more practice with. Those techniques will be integration by parts, partial fractions, and even the dreaded trigonometric substitutions. We will have a similar experience with a lot of other topics from Calc AB as we continue our work and all the fields and expand more in depth in things like differential equations. Because the BC exam is about 75% AB material, you are going to receive what's called an AB subscore, which we know is going to be a 5. In order to sign up for Calc BC, typically I like to see that you got a 4 or 5 on the AB exam. If you don't get a 4 or 5, it doesn't mean you can't take Calc BC, but it does mean you're going to have to work just a little bit harder on those AB topics as the semester progresses. When we move into topics that are new to Calc BC, okay, those topics include things like sequences in series or power series or Taylor or Maclaurin series, as well as polar equations, polar graphing, and calculus with parametric functions. Those will flow for all of us about the same rate. Sometimes these topics do flow over into second semester, but we still change the name to multivariable from BC once we get into second semester. Once we finish that BC stuff and we can actually start into multivariable proper, we're going to see calculus in 3 dimensions, calculus of vector valued functions, systems of 3-dimensional surfaces, and a whole lot more in 3D. Regarding the workload, well, there's plenty of homework pretty much every day. If you look at the assignment board in the back of the room, you can see we are working on something pretty much every day consistently. The grading works much like our other grading policies from AB, in that there's daily work and there's content knowledge. The daily work grade in BC, though, is 10% of your grade, while 90% of your overall grade is tests, quizzes, and other content knowledge measurements. I find Calc BC to be very exciting and interesting, and hopefully you will find it so as well. It is very useful, especially if your plans include moving into the engineering fields. If you have other questions about this course, like I said at the beginning of the video, please feel free to stop by my room anytime next week and ask. I look forward to meeting you and seeing you next year in second year calculus. Thank you guys so much for your time.